Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking all about mind games and dating, and specifically a phrase that I say a lot on my channel: play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So you've all heard me say that many times, and that is because it's incredibly true. So I'm going to go a little bit in depth about that, and then just talk about some of the overarching problems of all of these games with modern dating that men and women are both playing, the fact that people are promoting it all over TikTok. If you guys have seen any of my TikTok reaction videos, you've definitely seen people promoting manipulation and mind games and weird psychology tricks to hurt people and manipulate people. So I think it's important to be aware of that when you are dating. So I'm also going to address some of the problems that I have with it as well. So let's get started. So what does play stupid games, win stupid prizes mean? So if you willfully do something stupid like playing games and dating, you should know and be prepared for the consequences that are going to come along with that. So what are mind games or head games and dating? What is the real definition of these? So the definition, according to Urban Dictionary, is someone's lack of clearness or honesty in a relationship with the purposeful orientation of confusing the partner and prompting stronger affection as well as emotional dependence in him or her. I would also expand this a little bit and say it also includes being deceived or manipulated or strung along by someone that has no intention on forming a long-term or meaningful connection with you, even though it might seem like they do. So kind of any way you look at it, it just sucks. If you start off a relationship by playing all these mind games, whether it be acting hot and cold, playing hard to get, whatever it is, you are setting yourself up for disaster. If you or the person you're seeing start off by playing games, this is often a window into what the rest of your relationship with this person will probably look like. And it should be a big red flag for the both of you. So if you're someone that's doing this to someone else, I would tell that other person, run for the hills. And I would say the same thing to you if you're dating someone who is doing these things to you. So it often happens in the very beginning of a relationship. So it's normally pretty easy and clear to see in the beginning. Most of these are a red flag, just like anything else that you see in the beginning, but you ignore because you want to see the best in the person, or you're blinded by love, or whatever it is. And those red flags that you ignore in the beginning are often the reasons why you break up in the end, so don't ignore them. And I mean, just being totally honest, all of this sounds miserable, right? You're probably listening and thinking, oh, I don't want to be in a situation like that. And it's all fun and games until it's not. Until you're tired and you're exhausted and you're worn out and you just want a peaceful, nice relationship that is not full of chaos and drama all the time. And if you go into a relationship with someone starting off by playing the mind games, you're not going to get that. So you guys might be wondering, okay, Courtney, you're talking about mind games, but what are some actual examples of this so I can see when this is clearly happening to me and I can get the heck out of here? So I'm going to cover some examples of mind games. Of course, I don't have time to go over every single mind game ever played by anyone in the history of the world, but I think the ones I'm going to talk about today are some of the most common ones and the ones that I see people promote the most on TikTok, on toxic YouTube videos, whatever it might be. I just think these are the most common ones. So I hope after this video you know when this is happening to you, and if this is happening to you in the future, you'll be able to spot it right away and get yourself out of there. Or if you're someone that's doing these things and maybe you don't even realize it, you can kind of get that in check and not intentionally hurt people. Number one, we have love bombing, and this one is often used in the beginning of relationships. People will make you feel over-loved, over-cared for, they'll be over-affectionate, they'll give you gifts, they'll give you words of affirmation all the time, and like literally love bomb you, and then they will just take it all away. So you might have felt like this person really cared about you, was really attentive to you, they really loved you, and then all of a sudden they will just like drop you in the desert. So this one is one that I see happen a lot in the beginning of relationships to kind of win someone over. This is a very narcissistic thing that people do. Often narcissists are the ones that do the love bombing, people with borderline personality disorder, and some people might do this unintentionally and not necessarily try to be malicious about it, but they know that they have problems committing or know that they don't want a meaningful relationship, and yet they still want you to like them or to love them, even though maybe they don't feel that way about you. And most of the time it's just a show and it's very inauthentic, and it really is just to like seduce you or win you over and make you feel like you're at the top of the mountain, and then they just drop you off of it. So be mindful of this. I have actually seen this happen to some friends of mine, and it's scary, and it's something that narcissists and people with borderline personality disorder do. So you definitely don't want to ignore this one. Number two, and it might seem a little bit silly, but we're going to talk talk about catfishing. And I think this one has become more common because of social media. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the MTV show called Catfish. That was like a guilty pleasure of mine back in the day. I just remember I used to watch that show and I could not believe some people got as bamboozled as they did. Like, it was so obvious that they were being catfished, but yet they didn't see it. So that's why I want all of you guys to know this, because I think this happens to a lot of people and they just don't realize it's happening to them. It's the same thing as like a scam. Sometimes you don't realize it's happening to you, but other people can clearly see it. So stay with me here. So this could be someone simply using filters or editing their photos to kind of change what they look like. So maybe you matched with a girl on Tinder and she looked totally different on the app than when she showed up to the date in person. That is considered catfishing. But another more dangerous form of catfishing is when someone legitimately pretends to be a completely different person. Maybe it's because they're insecure about who they really are or what they look like, but it also could be because they want to scam you. So I see this happen to a lot of guys. I don't see this happen to women as much. Normally it's a guy that has been talking to a girl in a different country. Say you've been talking to a Russian model for a year, but you've never FaceTimed her or talked on the phone or met her in person, but you've been sending her money every week and buying her a bunch of stuff. You're being scammed. I hate to break it to you, but this happens so often, and I actually can't believe how much this happens to people. You would think as it's being exposed a little bit more, people would be more careful and hesitant, but I get messages every day from guys telling me they were scammed. So I know you think it won't happen to you, but be very careful. Number 3 is breadcrumbing. So the easiest way I can explain this one is when someone kind of keeps you at an arm's length. And this is often for their own benefit. So they'll give you just enough to keep you around, but they probably won't be reciprocating the time and effort and energy you're putting in. They will literally be giving you breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you around. Like Hansel and Gretel, follow me into the forest. I'm not gonna give you the whole piece of bread, but I'll leave you little breadcrumbs along the way to keep you where I want you. Oftentimes, these are also the people who enjoy attention and validation from you, but know they don't want to date you or commit to you or even hang out with you. In a couple videos before, I've mentioned being the attention guy or the fill-in guy, and this is kind of what these people do. So they want the attention from you. They want you to text them all the time, give them compliments, talk to them when they're bored, but then they don't want to commit to hang out with you. So I see this happen a lot as well, and I've done a couple videos on this, so I'm going to link them down below for you guys if you haven't seen them already. Definitely be sure to check them out after this video because I go a little bit more in depth there. So basically, being the attention or the fill-in guy means that you're being breadcrumbed most of the time, so keep that in mind. Next, and probably one of the most common, is playing hard to get. And again, this is one that happens in the very early stages of dating. Basically, someone will purposely not text you back, pretend they're hanging out with another guy, act like they're too busy to hang out with you. I mean, really will just orchestrate these diabolical plans in order to not come across as desperate, which, look, we don't want to come across as desperate. We don't want to be needy and clingy. You should have your own life going on and be busy just naturally. You shouldn't have to fake that though. And if you're faking it to make someone feel bad or to manipulate them into working harder for your attention or time, you have issues. So I think a lot of times girls think by playing hard to get, they're going to make this guy work harder for them or win them over, when in reality it most of the time does the opposite, and a man that you would want to be with would not fall for that anyway. So I don't really understand the appeal of girls playing hard to get. I think we should all just be honest about what our intentions are. I think the world would be a much better place if people would just do that instead of like pretending to have a bunch of stuff going on or to be busy or that they're hanging out with another guy. I reacted to a TikTok video in my last video that I did where some girl purposely like left the toilet seat up at her apartment so that the guy coming over would think that there was another guy there. And a bunch of guys commented on my video and was like, I wouldn't even notice that. Or I would be like, oh sweet, the lid's already up for me. Like, it's just the dumbest, craziest thing that girls think of doing this in their head. And if you're a guy doing it too, I think it's equally as bad. So stop playing hard to get. You're not fooling anybody except for the crazy people that will chase you anyway. So you might want to think twice about it. And the last little mind game I'm going to talk about is sending mixed signals. So this one is acting super interested one day and not interested at all the next day to make people question where they stand with you. So it's very similar to the playing hard to get, but also I think it's just sending mixed signals, acting really into them one day, not talking to them for a couple days, and just being really hot and cold. If you guys saw the TikTok reaction video that I did to a girl named Ask Nelly, she made a video about creating pleasure and pain and basically said, You give them an endless supply of water like they're in the ocean, which doesn't even make sense because you can't drink ocean water, number one. And number two, to then drop them in the desert the next day to create pain and act hot and cold. And it was just the craziest, most odd video I've ever watched. And if you're someone taking that advice or telling other people to do that, then there is seriously something wrong deep down there. And often that is where mind games come from. It's people who are too insecure to be their authentic selves and just attract people that would naturally be attracted to them and feel like they have to play all these mind games or trick people into liking them. And if you have to do that, I don't want you anyway. And my last little section of the video here that I want to talk about is the fact that healthy relationships don't include games. I'm not talking about board games or fun little competitive games. I'm talking about games that purposely hurt each other. I'm talking about mind games. I'm talking about sending mixed signals, playing hard to get, love bombing, gaslighting, breadcrumbing. There's so many different ones out there now, but really, a healthy relationship does not include any of those things. You should not be purposely trying to manipulate, confuse, or hurt someone that you supposedly care about. That's just not what happens in a healthy, flourishing relationship where both people are growing and evolving. So if you don't want to be in a miserable, toxic, chaotic relationship, stop playing the games. To put it simply, it's just really insecure and immature, and none of us here have time for that. I will never promote that stuff on this channel. I would never encourage any of you guys to do that. I think having a healthy relationship includes clear and open communication, honesty, and trust. And if you're playing games, you don't have any of those things. It's just not possible. If you're looking for a casual hookup or a fling, maybe it's not as big of a deal. But if you're someone watching that is genuinely looking for a healthy, meaningful relationship or something long-term or serious with someone, you have to stop playing the games, and you have to stop letting people play these games with you, because what you allow is what's going to continue, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people play these games and people feed into it on the receiving end, and they just keep playing the games because it works. And on a weak, insecure person, yeah, it works. That's why it's called manipulation. That's why it's called mind games. Just, guys, seriously, the main takeaway from this video is that mind games only hurt you in the long run, and we just need to cut it out. It's exhausting. It's tiring. I know a lot of you guys are sick of it, so don't let someone do it to you. I hope that you all found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Instagram as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.